Good afternoon. My name is Pam Kramer, and I have been the Executive Director of the Duluth LISC office since we began in 1997. Prior to that, I've lived in Duluth for 25 years now, and prior to the LISC position, I was the Community Development Director for the City of Duluth. With me up front today is Chris Ridgewell from the Spirit Valley Citizens Neighborhood Development Association. She's the Executive Director. Angie Miller, Executive Director of Community Action Duluth, and Keith Hamry, Manager of the city's Community Development Division. Also, I'm happy to introduce our new Program Officer, Lee Stewart. Also, I want to recognize our Local Advisory Committee Chair, Jen Ryan, and Scott Brott, who's with our Local Advisory Committee. In this presentation, we will be talking about how we're implementing LISC's Building Sustainable Communities strategy in a small city. You'll hear from some of our key partners on their role and how they believe that our strength is in our shared vision and our collaborative work. What I hope you walk away with is an understanding of Duluth LISC as an organization that has evolved from a primarily housing and real estate focus to a very comprehensive community development strategy. Our strategy includes the development of people as well as the places where they live and work. You'll also see that we originally thought of LISC's goals, what we originally saw as LISC goals, now go far beyond LISC. These are shared policies and priorities by the city, by nonprofits, by the public sector, and most importantly, neighborhood residents and businesses. A little bit of background on Duluth. We're the fourth largest city in Minnesota. We have a population of nearly 87,000, which is down from close to 120,000 at our peak in 1960. We're located at the western edge of Lake Superior, and we're the largest port on the Great Lakes. We experienced the Rust Belt decline that happened in many Midwestern cities and had one of the sharpest drops, economic declines in the country in the 1970s and 80s, as our traditional industries of iron ore, forestry, and shipping collapsed. We've taken steps over the last 2 decades to diversify our economy, build on our strengths, including becoming a regional medical center and tourist center. We're now on the rebound, and we're rebuilding, and it's been a collaborative effort of everyone working together. Our population's growing. We're adding jobs. We still have issues that we need to be working on together, with a citywide poverty rate of over 25% and much higher in some of our neighborhoods. We have disparities in our education system and our neighborhood quality of life. However, as you'll see today, we're working together on these important issues. Duluth is a long, narrow city. It's 25 miles long along the shore of Lake Superior, and we have many neighborhoods that are built on steep hills that rise 800 feet above the lake. We have an urban core, which includes our 5 sustainable community neighborhoods. And these neighborhoods have distinct business districts and identities. With our extensive waterfront, we have nearly 12,000 acres of parks and over 100 miles of trails. And so it's easy to feel that you're not only in an urban area, but in a wilderness as well. In fact, in 2007, Duluth was named by Outdoor Magazine as one of the top 10 places to live in the country. Duluth LISC was selected as a sustainable community demonstration site in 2007, and this was based on our desire to work comprehensively, to go beyond housing and real estate development and go deeper. We had had a partnership in place since 1999 and have built on that partnership. Since we opened our program 14 years ago, LISC has directly invested nearly $72 million in the community. We implement the Sustainable Community Strategy through our At Home in Duluth Collaborative, a partnership that includes the City of Duluth, the school district, the United Way, and 24 other partners who are a part of our At Home in Duluth collaborative. We have, all of these are working within our 5 core neighborhoods. The At Home in Duluth collaborative includes organizations which focus on brick and mortar development and those who concentrate on programs to assist people out of poverty and help with access to jobs, safer neighborhoods, and improved incomes. This dual focus of physical development and development of people has allowed us to bring many new groups to the table and to have a deeper, more comprehensive impact. You'll hear from one of our new partners, Community Action Duluth, later in the presentation. In 2007 and 2008, we began the At Home in Duluth collaborative's work with our neighborhood residents to develop quality of life plans in 5 core neighborhoods: Central Hillside, East Hillside, Lincoln Park, West Duluth, and Morgan Park. One key advantage of these plans is that they have developed a blueprint for the city, developers, residents, and others to invest resources in key programs and projects that emerge from a broad-based planning effort. We're currently updating these plans, and we'll have extensive citizen input and involvement to look at what's been accomplished and also look at new issues and new opportunities. Some of the impacts that we have had working together as the At Home in Duluth collaborative to develop and implement these neighborhood plans has included, where once we had bitter neighborhood rivalries with competition between the neighborhoods, there's now partnerships across neighborhood lines. Where once nonprofits focused on particular silos and individual issues, they now partner closely together on a broad set of issues and programs with increased resources available and capacity. Where once there was a focus on bricks and mortar, now there is an equal emphasis on helping people and improving their overall quality of life of people and their neighborhoods. And where once community development was more of a top-down program, there's now a much greater citizen engagement, creating new partnerships and pathways for revitalization. We'll now hear from our mayor, Don Ness, about what the At Home in Duluth collaborative.
Hi, I'm Duluth Mayor Don Ness, and I want to send greetings from Duluth, Minnesota. We're just so pleased to work in partnership with LISC and to tell you a little bit about the importance of LISC's work here in the city of Duluth. The community development projects that we're seeing here, the economic development, the housing programs, the innovative new models that invest in our housing stock and create jobs here, our success stories are the success stories that are going to be relevant and valuable for small and mid-sized cities all across the Midwest and across the nation. And with LISC's help and leadership, and especially the leadership of Pam Kramer, we're making those success stories possible. In Duluth, community partnerships are the key to making things happen, and Duluth LISC is always a leader in helping coordinate those efforts and leading those efforts. And a good example is our At Home in Duluth collaborative that focuses on 5 core neighborhoods in the city of Duluth. And instead of each individual group and neighborhood group going off and trying to create their own thing, there's now coordination and coordination of effort, coordination and support of each other's initiatives. LISC's investment in the city of Duluth is helping to provide that strong model, that proactive model of community leadership, of collaboration, of looking ahead and addressing problems before they spiral out of control. And we believe that here in Duluth we're creating success stories that LISC can share to communities all across this nation in saying you are the owner of your destiny, and you have the ability, drawing upon the resources within your own community, that you can solve these problems. That is the story that Duluth LISC and the LISC organization nationwide are making possible. And we thank you so much for your support, and you can be assured that as you invest in our operation and our partnerships and in Duluth LISC, that we will continue to create success stories that will be relevant to communities, especially those small and mid-sized communities all across the nation. Hi, I'm Duluth Mayor
struggle all day.
I think many of you will recognize the 5 program goals of our Sustainable Communities Initiative. And as these are used across the country, they're also the criteria or the goals that we use within our At Home in Duluth Collaborative. They are a part of our neighborhood plans, and they underlie all of our collaborative work. A little background and overview of our collaborative structure. As mentioned earlier, At Home in Duluth is a 25-member broad-based collaborative of government, nonprofit, community, and neighborhood organizations that work to engage local residents in active participation in comprehensive community development. Our structure is different from many of the other LISC sustainable community sites. Implementation of our quality of life plans is not led by one lead organization, but by a core group of 13 organizations who meet monthly. The members of the At Home core group take their work very seriously. One of the requirements for participation in the core group is that you sign on to a governance agreement stating that the partnership and the goals of At Home in Duluth are essential to the mission of your organization. And if you look at the handout that was given today, it's the At Home in Duluth Collaborative membership ring. You'll see the full extent of the At Home membership. Listed in front of you are the members are the 13 core group partners. The work at the neighborhood level, which is critical, is coordinated by 2 lead community development organizations. One is Neighborhood Housing Services of Duluth, and the other is SPENDA, the Spirit Valley Citizens Neighborhood Development Association, who Chris represents as the executive director. The role of these 2 coordinating organizations is to ensure resident engagement in the Sustainable Communities Plan development and implementation, and also to leverage private, public, and nonprofit resources to improve the quality of life in these 5 neighborhoods. Third, we have a committee structure of a housing group, an economic development committee, also a community safety committee that coordinates efforts across neighborhoods to ensure that we're strengthening efforts and working together. LISC's role is, as an intermediate organization, is to convene, to advocate for, to coach, to connect, to fund, and to strengthen our partners in this work. One exciting element of our At Home partnership is that we continuously support and encourage each other to take on new initiatives and to connect new partners. Ideas, resources, problems, and solutions are shared. We're clear that despite the challenges of coming together, we're stronger working together than apart, and that Duluth and its neighborhoods are far better served through our deliberate collaborative work than by each of us pursuing independent goals in isolation. What we're finding is that mutual support and encouragement is contagious. Throughout Duluth, there is a movement that's building for improved quality of life. So it now gives me great pleasure to introduce Chris Ridgewell, Executive Director of SPENDA.
Thanks, Pam. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is my great honor and privilege to be here speaking to you this afternoon because I am so passionate not only about my neighborhood, but because of the collaboration that is Duluth LISC and our at-home partnership. And I really want to hit that home today because how many of you out there have heard about NIMBYism? Okay, well, we have NIMBY, which is not in my neighborhood. Okay, and that's what it used to be. We would go there and we'd say, you know, I really want to build this house and I want to rehab this, and we'd all fight for those CDBG dollars, and we'd all fight for this revitalization dollar, and oh my gosh, you know, you're doing that there, but you know, you can't do it in my neighborhood, right? Because you're a different organization. You know, this is my neighborhood. Well, and then along comes Duluth LISC. And they put us in a room all together and said, you know what? They're really good at housing. You're really good at economic development. And so you know what happened? We all looked at each other and said, you think you could do that in my neighborhood? Really? You could build that pretty house where I have that overgrown lot filled with garbage? That'd be like really cool. And we started working together, and we started all coming to the table and forming these relationships and forming these partnerships. And I gotta tell you, for me personally, I have a staff of 1.5. And it's not because I work 75 hours a week. I have an administrative assistant for 20. So for me, having 25 other agencies I can tap into to bring resources into my neighborhood, that's a great thing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about revitalizing West Duluth, where I am the coordinating agency. In 2008, residents, business owners, especially those residents, and citizens that had a stake in West Duluth, business owners, people who came there who enjoyed our parks, our trails, people from the school district, they all came together and said, we're going to form this plan. Well, then what Svenda did as the neighborhood coordinator is we wrote the work plans to start the implementation. And part of our work plan then said, project, timeline, partners. Because you know what? I can't do it all. My organization can't do it all. And so what we ended up doing is meeting at the table again. We're like weavers of a beautiful piece of cloth. I bring my thread, you bring your thread, and we weave it all together and we get this beautiful project. We keep weaving in and out, and we keep connecting to attain these great outcomes and these great projects for our neighborhoods. We also keep each other accountable. I thought we were going to work together on that. And, right? We keep each other accountable. I need your help. How can I help you? And together we get it done. We also, we write these plans, and then we figure out where our funding is going to come from. How can we tap into resources? Sometimes it's through our At Home in Duluth Collaborative. Sometimes it's our government entities. And a lot of times it's private development. So this is the cover of our neighborhood plan, which we are currently updating right now, because we've gotten a lot done together. My organization actually started by some angry housewives. So if they're tuned in today, don't take offense to that. I meant it in the best possible way. Because what happened is the freeway came through and took away 400 homes. We had 2 railroad crossings right in the middle. We were called, the Pittsburgh of the Northwest. Our business district was dirty, dark, dingy. We started working together on a revitalization. We have the most beautiful, beautiful commercial corridor now. Currently, we're working on strategic targeted areas, where we're actually taking a 2-block area now within our plan and saying, this needs the most help. Of these 72 houses, 20 of them are blighted and need help. So I'm asking my housing friends, who has rehab dollars? Who can help me here? I'm asking the police department, how many crime calls have you had in that neighborhood? How can we start a community block watch there? How can we work together to take these areas and bend that tipping point, get it back up, revitalize it, make it the best it can be? We're stimulating economic activity. We're improving access to the quality of our schools. Our school district right now is going through a long-range facilities plan. We are getting beautiful, brand new schools. That's great. But we also want to be a part of that. And we get to be a part of the design. Don't take away my tower that was built in 1896. We still want to show that. I mean, there's things that are really important to the folks that live around that area. Actually, I'm going to show you a video clip now of just of partnerships working together for that common good.
Recovering from an industrial boom, highway expansion, and lost housing, West Duluth has been reborn and is now one of the city's most popular neighborhoods. It gives residents the feel of a small town within a large city, with its shopping and services, abundant parks, and K-12 education.
It feels safer. It's a cleaner tidier. It's a much better neighborhood to live in. The business district around it is a lot more vibrant and interesting than it was 10, 15 years ago. It's a fantastic little gem of a neighborhood.
West Duluth is one of 5 neighborhoods participating in LISC's At Home in Duluth collaborative. Svenda is the coordinating organization helping residents create and implement revitalization plans for their neighborhood. Together, they've turned dilapidated houses into affordable, energy-efficient homes. They've helped with planning of neighborhood schools and started service learning programs for students. They offer free tax preparation and financial education classes to residents. And by improving traffic flow and beautifying the business district, they've improved economic activity. In addition to Svenda's leadership, the neighborhood has access to At Home in Duluth's 25 organizations who collaborate to implement Duluth's sustainable community plans.
When I'm at the table and I hear about a project that's going to happen, I can say, oh my gosh, I have the perfect lot for you in West Duluth. LISC has enabled all of us to, as that umbrella piece, to be part of this bigger thing so that we can get things done together.
Duluth's Veterans Place was the answer to addressing one of the last blighted blocks in the neighborhood. With help from LISC and the Northern Communities Land Trust, the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans rehabbed 2 blighted buildings that now provide transitional and permanent housing to homeless veterans. The space will help those like Jessica Daniels and her husband, both veterans of the First Gulf War.
We were endangered homeless when we got out of the Army, and we slept from place to place from my family's homes, and they helped us get back on our feet. There shouldn't be any other Duluthian who's a veteran having to walk the streets anymore, or having to sleep on families' couches anymore, or on the floors, and wondering what they're gonna do. We owe our veterans our lives, our lifestyle. And to help them is just another way of paying back.
There are gonna be hundreds, thousands of veterans helped by this organization being here, and they're gonna have the opportunity to move their lives forward because we did.
It's an interesting thing for a neighborhood to be so excited about supportive housing for homeless folks. And I think a lot of it has to do with the leadership from the neighborhood group embracing the project and sort of setting a good example. I definitely think that the community is changing for the better. There's a higher consciousness about what we need to make this community a place where we're all succeeding. And to quote Senator Wellstone, right, we all do better when we all do better. And so really including everyone in the all, I think, is something that's different in this community now than it was 15 years ago.
Recovering.
So seriously, the video always gets to me a little bit, you know, even though that's like the 6th time I've seen it, because that project is amazing. I wish all of you could see the before pictures of what that block looked like. We toured these apartments, our affordable apartments there. There was no heat, there was no water. There was a log in the middle of a living room that somebody, obviously, it was charred, so obviously somebody was keeping their warm by, you know, burning that log. I don't know how much better that is than being homeless. So if you could have seen those buildings before and the lot between them, it's amazing to me what that outcome was and who it's serving. It's absolutely amazing. So as a committee organizer, my job is to align and leverage tools that are available in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to support those economic development projects. We bring that collaboration as lead agency to my neighborhood in West Duluth. And West Duluth is comprised of 19 different neighborhoods, little pockets of Ramsey and Irving and Spirit Valley. But we are the communication point for starting those new businesses, helping to retain and strengthen those businesses. We were fortunate enough to get some funding through Duluth LISC for a storefront grant program, which enabled us to actually make some beautiful storefronts that are really unique to our business district, including a big purple cup on a coffee house, you know, and you can see it here, what it looked like before, and it's huge. It's really cool, and great coffee. But we work as a liaison, you know, between what our citizens, what our neighborhood wants, what the business district wants, what the business owners want, And we work together. And like I said, it has a 1.5 staff. There's no way I could have, without my partners, leveraged over $15 million into my neighborhood. We have new infrastructures and streetscapes. On a dirty, dingy, awful corner, you can see kind of a before picture. Now there's a beautiful retaining wall. We have light posts now, you know, and you can actually walk in the neighborhood at night and feel safe. The crime has been reduced from being number 3 to number 6, you know, so we've gone down. In our business district alone, again, the infrastructure, the beautiful new streets, the streetscape amenities, makes people feel safe, becomes a walkable neighborhood. Partnering with the schools, this has been a real source of pride for me. A couple different things. Through Duluth LISC again, we got a service learning grant through State Farm. And we were able to go into the schools, and these children did some amazing projects. That you saw a few of the pictures from the video. But also, we have one of our new elementary schools is being built right next to the Memorial Park. So we're starting this new pilot program called the Sparks program, where the school district and our Parks and Rec department is going to collaborate. We're calling it the Sparks program, and they're going to utilize that green space and offer some programming. We also wrote a CDBG grant, and Sven and the school district collaborated, and we're getting a $250,000 grant to build a new community center for my neighborhood within that school. Currently, our big project was we've been promoting ecotourism. We have a beautiful neighborhood filled with hiking trails, a lot of tourist amenities, the Lake Superior Zoo, the Spirit Mountain ski hill, a railroad, a tourist railroad train. We're building gardens in the communities. We're doing a lot of really cool things. And that's a llama, not a goat. Angie Miller thought it was a goat. That's Dolly Llama at the zoo. But you know what? Without my partners, I couldn't do this. Our strengths at Duluth, in Duluth, is with our partnerships. And that's actually how I met our next speaker, sitting across the table. And Sven itself does not offer free tax site. We don't offer the classes. What we do offer, what we did, is worked very closely with the Partnership of Community Action Duluth, and we're able to use an abandoned police station as a tax site so that West Duluthians could get served too. So it gives me great pleasure. From that meeting, by the way, I've taught some financial classes for her, and I work at the tax site, and but there's the strength is in the partnerships, our weaving in and out and staying connected. So it gives me great pleasure to announce your next speaker, Angie Miller, the Executive Director of Community Action Duluth. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's great to be here. There were moments yesterday when I really thought we were not going to make it. Our plane was canceled in Duluth, so we had a 3+ hour shuttle ride in a very crowded van packed like sardines to the Minneapolis airport, and we went through a blizzard with almost total whiteout conditions. And shortly after we got to the airport, we did find out that the freeway that we had just arrived on had been shut down. And there were drifts, and it was frightening. And then our next plane was canceled. And then we got on a plane that had a whole lot of turbulence, and it was very scary. And then we circled the Reagan Airport for a really long time. And when we got in, we found out that some air traffic controller had taken a little snooze and had kind of backed up the traffic. So there were many harrowing things in this 14-hour journey, but it all turned out great. So back to the point. It was our whole Duluth team, actually, all together in this journey. So anyway, back to the presentation. It is the mission of Community Action Duluth to use innovative strategies that mobilize low-income people and the broader community to build assets that prevent poverty, create equality, and strengthen our social fabric. But I like to sum it up in our tagline, which is engaging the community to end poverty. It's a lot easier to remember. We became part of the At Home in Duluth Collaborative in 2007 when, as Pam referred to, the focus of the collaborative kind of evolved from just bricks and sticks or houses and businesses to include a more comprehensive approach that included strategies to increase the income and assets of the people who live in those at-home Duluth neighborhoods. We have 28 employees now and 11 different programs that help low-income people to move forward and achieve their goals. The work of our agency has been greatly enhanced by the partnerships we have developed as a result of the At Home in Duluth Collaborative. And in fact, I don't think it's a coincidence, but our budget and our staff have just about doubled since we have become involved in the At Home partnership. So I'm going to give some of that credit to the partnership. Community action agencies, as you probably know, are the federally designated anti-poverty agencies across the United States. However, because they are locally controlled and mandated to develop strategies that fit the local community, it has been said if you've seen one community action agency, you have seen exactly one community action agency. We are all very different. And although we were created more than 40 years ago during the war on poverty, many community action agencies are on the cutting edge and leading innovation across the country. And we like to remind people that we have been doing green jobs by weatherizing low-income people's homes for decades. I mean, before anyone referred to it as a green job, community action agencies, many of them, across the country were doing weatherization and providing green jobs. So we partner with LISC in every aspect of our work. Our programs are focused in 4 areas. They are building assets, increasing income, engaging the community, and green jobs. LISC has provided support to each of these areas of our programming, either through funding or through AmeriCorps members. We currently have 5, which has greatly increased our capacity to do the work that I'm going to describe. The focus on green jobs is fairly new to Community Action Duluth, and it started in 2009 with a LISC grant to assist our agency to provide services, support, and case management to a cohort of 5 low-income people who were to be placed in a green job. And I'm going to be honest with you, it took our agency a while to find these green jobs. And in the end, we had to create these jobs ourselves. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a few minutes. But one of our green jobs projects was a partnership with our local housing and redevelopment agency. Our community had a Hope 6 project, that huge redevelopment of a public housing project. And we were able to put some people to work there in a step-up apprentice program. And it was a green job because they learned green construction techniques. It was built to green community standards. And so they got skills, and then they also earned a paycheck at the same time. So that was the first, and the person from the HRA is supposed to be here. I was going to point him out, but I guess maybe he's stuck in an airport somewhere. So moving on to the building assets area. We run the largest IDA, so Individual Development Account program now in Minnesota, and it's called FAME, Family Assets for Independence in Minnesota. And we have 150 people currently in this program, and we've been operating it for 7 years. So we have this track record of helping literally hundreds of people to save money and get a 3-to-1 match, and then use it to purchase a home, attend post-secondary education, or capitalize a business. LISC funded some of these slots, specifically extra slots, so that we could provide designated match savings accounts to people who live in the 5 core neighborhoods. And then we looked to our partner agencies in the collaborative to help us recruit people to fill those slots. And so now we have people, specifically in those neighborhoods saving to acquire an asset. So the person on the right is shown at her house closing, and she has 2 checks in her hand. One is from her own savings that she saved for 2 years at a $40 a month, and it was $960. And the second check was her match money, $2,880. Now, Duluth has affordable home ownership opportunities, but really, the $3,600 is not really what the program is about. Really what it's about is encouraging future-oriented behavior and thinking towards a goal and saving for the first time in your life and working with someone on, you know, improving your credit score. That is what it's about. And the checks are just the happy, you know, the happy ending to the story, but it's a whole way of changing people's perspectives and behaviors in many cases. The person on the left is part of an innovative partnership transportation program that we have called Jumpstart. And one of our partners in this program is here from Lutheran Social Services, and they helped us launch it and get it off the ground and invested some funding that they had specifically for transportation into this program. And what it does is it allows people to purchase a fairly new, energy efficient, reliable vehicle through a loan that's collateralized through a credit union. So everyone, regardless of credit score, is offered the very lowest interest rates on their vehicles. So it's a program that I like to say can truly change someone's life in an afternoon. And so many of the people in the program have had years of car drama. Either their cars are constantly breaking down and threatening their ability to get to work, or they were relying on public transportation. And if you're a single parent, getting to childcare and getting to work can be a 1 to 2 hour ordeal every day. And so the minute somebody gets a decent, you know, running car with all the cars have to have 32 miles a gallon or greater in order to be included in this program. So it's just really a way to transform somebody's life in an afternoon. Duluth LISC provided some HUD Section 4 funds to fund the transportation advocate's job at our agency. And so it really was a key part of helping us launch that program. Along the priority area of increasing incomes, we have several employment programs. And we are measured and have benchmarks of actually increasing people's income. And that can be kind of a scary thing in this economy. So we partner with Duluth LISC and the City of Duluth Community Development Division, who you're going to be hearing from Keith in a moment, to create this Duluth at Work program. We'll have in about a month or so 21 single mothers in this program who are working with a staff person at our agency to become employed and increase their income. And the cool thing about our program is that each person is paired with a volunteer mentor or an ally who works with them on employment goals. So this is a way that we help people bridge race and class lines in a very strategic way of partnering middle-income people with low-income people who are kind of struggling to become employed. So some people in the room here would call this developing social capital, but we kind of usually refer to it as a friendship. And lots of really miraculous things happen when someone has a stable person in their life who's not paid to be there. And it's really a great program, and at our agency it's called Circles of Support. And I think because we're going to be a little short of time, I think we'll get to this video. And I just wanted to say it shows a clip that was kind of done for United Way, and it was on our local news, of a dad who has 3 kids, and he and his wife were both in our match savings account program. And they used their money first to capitalize a business and then to purchase a home. And when they started working with us, they were living in the public housing project that was part of the Hope 6. So,
backbone of any economy is its small businesses. But with the ongoing recession, small businesses and entrepreneurs who would like to start small businesses are facing some huge hurdles. That's where some nonprofit agencies are stepping up to help turn things around, one small business at a time. Barbara Riles puts us in touch with the success story of one Duluth entrepreneur.
In 2007, Dane Grover and his wife Kristen were in between jobs and struggling to make ends meet. Dane had been raised to be self-sufficient and didn't want to turn to welfare.
There wasn't a lot of hope for the better.
Dane turned to the United Way-supported Family Assets for Independence program in Duluth. The program, called FAME, united common sense financial education with a matched savings account designed to help people save money for things like buying a house, going to college, or starting a small business.
It's really fun to see people come forward and make huge success from having horrible, sometimes self-esteem about their ability to make change and build assets.
For Dane and Kristen, it was the perfect program.
It was a great stepping stone to get us over that first, that initial hump.
A stepping stone that has been just the right step for a growing number of Northland entrepreneurs.
A lot of great investments are happening in the community because of this program.
Investments such as that being made by Dane Grover, who started a landscaping business. Dane says the help he was given was enough of a catalyst to get his company growing.
I've been steady enough to pay for my house and buy some equipment that I need.
The education and goal planning helped the family move out of debt and begin to plan for their future. Today, their small business is providing employment and contributing to the economy.
It's everything, I can give my kids a better life.
In Duluth, Barbara Riles, the Northlands News Center.
Okay, I've gotten a little word from Pam that we're kind of getting short of time, so I have to kind of move a little quicker. I just wanted to mention our Green Jobs projects. I think they have been really exciting and added a new component to our work. Our urban farming program, which is pictured on the right, is called Seeds of Success. We launched it last year. It's run by 2 AmeriCorps workers who we got through LISC. Last summer we had 8 people employed in addition to the 2 coordinators. We grew almost a ton of food on 9 vacant lots throughout the city that were pretty blighted before we transformed them into beautiful urban farms. We partner with many of the Duluth at Work partners in order to get the land, so we've gotten Parks and Rec land from the city, we've gotten HRA land, we've gotten all kinds of lots from different entities and turned them into gardens. And we're hoping this summer we're going to broadly expand the project through an investment from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Insurance company is investing quite a bit into this project in order to make healthy, locally grown food available in low-income neighborhoods and to low-income people. So that's exciting. And then a really exciting project that we're launching is our Stream Corps, and it is loosely based on the Civilian Conservation Corps of the 1930s, in that we are hiring a crew of 5 under and unemployed people to work with a crew leader to restore the 13 streams that flow right through the heart of our city and into Lake Superior. And we are doing this through a Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant from the EPA. And it is really exciting because it's going to clean up the lake, provide jobs, and reduce erosion in those streams. And all the workers have been hired, and it's a great project that'll utilize a lot of tree planting and individual repair plans on private and public land. And it was a very innovative step of the EPA to fund a project who had a dual goal of clean up Lake Superior as well as provide employment. And I think that, I hope that this becomes a new way of providing green jobs in the future. So here's a quick video, and I just wanted to mention that there are many people in the room who are probably really interested and passionate about providing free tax preparation services to low-income people. We have a large free tax preparation operation at our agency. We're expecting to do 1,600 returns this year with 90 volunteers and AmeriCorps members, and we all work together. And the cool thing about that is we're returning over $3.5 million in refunds to our community in people's pockets without them losing any of it along the way to predatory products or high cost tax preparation outfits. And so it's really exciting. And then Chris was very instrumental in helping us expand to her neighborhood in a site that we set up just for people with dependents. And so just people with children who are getting the big refunds, who typically, I think we lost some of them earlier at our traditional site because of the long lines. People would have to be standing in line for a long time to get into our doors. For the family site, we make appointments, we offer childcare, we have credit counselors through Lutheran Social Services who pull people's credit reports and do financial counseling right on the spot, and we screen people for benefits to find out what kind of programs they might be eligible for that they're not aware of. So here's another little video.
Duluth at Work is about creating opportunity for people with low incomes living here in the city. And what we strive to do is help bring people into the market economy or stronger participants in the market economy. For folks who are often locked out of these networks of opportunity, Duluth at Work is about helping people gain access into strong living wage jobs. It's about growing neighborhood businesses, and it's about trying to get our city to the next level.
Seeds of Success does urban gardening for the purposes of job creation and neighborhood revitalization. We set up small urban farms within the city, did 9 of them last summer, and we grow vegetables. We call ourselves a social enterprise. So the idea is to market about 2/3 of our produce and give away about 1/3 for free to low-income volunteers and employees.
Community Action has a community engagement strategy. It's designed to demystify the issues of poverty and really talk about those social constructs that are keeping poverty in place and allowing low-income people to have a venue and a place of support so that they can address the issues that are isolating them and that are significant in their life.
When I used to talk to people in the community about what Community Action Duluth offers and who qualifies, I think a lot of people were surprised. Now, 47% of people in Duluth are eligible for programs that we offer. So that's like 1 in every second person that really can come in here and get access to programs that allow people to build themselves up, build assets. I think one of the best things that I love about working here is that our focus and our mission is about targeting towards the bigger picture to the next step, which is gaining income, building assets, and building for a future. We're not offering handouts, we're offering hand-ups.
I think that working here through the LISC AmeriCorps program really helps me to combine a lot of my concerns with social justice, with fostering racial justice, and with helping people take control of their finances.
If we're really serious about addressing the issues, then it's going to take a community to address it. Not just those individuals who are being impacted, nor those individuals who can make the change.
My favorite part about teaching the financial literacy class is seeing people's knowledge and empowerment increase. I run into my students now and they'll say, well, you know, I remember what we talked about in class, and I opened a bank account, or I opened a letter and they said that I had a debt due, and rather than let it just go off into collections, I responded and I set up a payment plan. It's just so rewarding for me to see my students come back and say, you know, I took control of my finances because of what I learned in the class. Our hope is that people build assets of their own so that they can get ahead and also bring their children up, and then really help build up their whole entire community.
Okay, my time is up, but I did just want to say that we were chosen to receive a Financial Opportunity Center grant
Duluth at Work
through
is about
LISC.
creating opportunity for people with low incomes living here.
And that we are very excited to increase the income and assets of 175 people in the next year. So thank you very much, and I want to introduce Keith Hamry from our City of Duluth Community Development Department.
Thank you. Comprehensive change. You know, I'm quite honored to be here in DC for the second time to talk about At Home in Duluth. Pam mentioned we started in 1999, the city partnering with LISC and saying we needed to look at neighborhood revitalization. In 2004, I was here to talk about At Home in Duluth at the 30th anniversary of CDBG. So here I am in another 30th anniversary. But then, in 2004, I talked about all of our housing accomplishments, what we had accomplished. Here today, I'm going to talk about the scariest thing, comprehensive change. I often describe it as, why in 2007 did we step off the cliff and get out of our comfort zone of housing? We had a number of agencies who did affordable housing well. Why are we going to do something different than that? Well, if we're going to see people increase assets, we're going to see people succeed, and we're going to see our neighborhoods really turn around, we've got to do it in a big way. So the example that I've got to share with you is from Lincoln Park. This is the Clyde Park project. Clyde Ironworks built a lot of the hoists that were used to build the Panama Canal, were used to build the Golden Gate Bridge, were built here in Duluth. But as Pam mentioned, the Rust Belt, we were a part of that Rust Belt, the decline. And in the 1980s, Clyde Iron closed. And we drove by Clyde Iron for a number of years and we said, we got to do something with that place. At some point, we got to do something with that place. And it was right next to the freeway that Chris mentioned that went through West Duluth and Lincoln Park and divided neighborhoods. So it was very visible. It was right there. We saw it every day. Now, in 2010, after we did some planning and we identified that's a site we got to address, it is now a big retail anchor of a heritage hockey center, and also has the Boys and Girls Club. It has a restaurant. Actually, it's one of my wife's favorite restaurants. We go there to have pizza, and it's just a beautiful place to go and see a concert. Who would have ever thought we were going to go to an old ironworks place to see a concert? We've really redeveloped this site into a wonderful location. And the next slide kind of tells you the amount of money that went into this. $9.2 million in new market tax credits through LISC, $25 million in investments. Probably the biggest thing we tout right now is 100 new jobs within our community. We started, and the city's aspect of this was cleaning up a brownfield site. But along with this, I mentioned hockey. In Duluth, hockey is king. Now, we had a fire that destroyed a hockey rink, an indoor hockey rink. We had insurance money to build a new one. We came to the table and said, okay, we can replace that. We'll put that in, wrote the brownfield grant. And then the last piece that came in was LISC with the Minnesota Vikings grant. But rather than me tell you about this, we've got a video clip, as you've seen. And this is one of, as Chris mentioned, she gets choked up. This is a great video clip to watch.
Clyde Park, home to the Duluth Heritage Sports Center, is an impressive multi-use campus where people from around the region come to play, learn, eat, and be entertained. With so much activity and so many happy faces filling this space, it's easy to forget how much effort it took to make this project happen. In fact, some residents say it's one of the greatest acts of cooperation this city has ever seen.
Well, in our small community, this was a big thing. We had lots of different people from lots of different ideological positions that said, yeah, we want to do better, and we want to be teammates, and we want to succeed together.
These old walls tell the story of Clyde Iron Works, a major employer in Duluth until the 1980s, when the company shut its doors for good. The factory once produced machinery that built the Empire State Building and the Panama Canal, but for many years, the building sat empty. The grounds polluted, jobs gone from the area.
The property was put up for sale, and I was the successful bidder. The other parties were going to tear it down and put a big box operation here, and that's just something I couldn't do. I wanted to have the building stay to tell the story of Clyde and Duluth. I knew we had a long road, though. We had a lot of environmental issues, structural issues. This property was kind of, as you read some of the articles, it was the blight of Duluth.
When a fire destroyed one of two major hockey arenas in the area, Alex Giuliani stepped up and donated part of his land to house the nonprofit now known as the Duluth Heritage Sports Center. The surrounding neighborhood of Lincoln Park was one of the poorest communities in Minnesota.
The Lincoln Park neighborhood has been and continues to be a neighborhood that has a lot of low-income families. And so when that opportunity came here, it was a way to reach out to this neighborhood that needed help, and there was a lot of children in this neighborhood.
Pam Kramer, Duluth LISC's executive director, saw this as an opportunity for implementing the neighborhood's revitalization plan, which is based on LISC's Sustainable Communities Quality of Life goals.
Alex's vision fit with the neighborhood's desire for youth recreation programs and also economic development. You know, it's really carrying out a comprehensive community development effort right in one place.
LISC role was in being a facilitator of discussions that ranged from potential historic preservation issues to, very importantly, being a convener for new market tax credits and a provider of new market tax credits. LISC also played a terrific role specifically in being the conduit for NFL funding. The Vikings delivered $200,000 worth of money to be used for artificial turf in one of the sports facilities. So without LISC, those things would not have occurred.
It's a pretty special project where we brought together the state, nonprofits, private entities, the city, the school board. I think it's a learning tool from sustainability to bringing together parties sometimes that haven't worked together, and I think it's a teaching model.
This great idea continues to grow. The Duluth Children's Museum is moving next door, and plans for a new hotel and brewery are in the works. With a Boys and Girls Club, 2 hockey arenas, a restaurant, and a concert hall, all moving this community forward both socially and economically, Clyde Park is a place every Duluthian can be proud of.
Comprehensive change.
Clyde
really
Park,
seeing it come
home
together.
to the Duluth Heritage Sports Center, is an impressive multi-use campus.
It's a good video. I wanted to watch it again.
Yeah, no,
But
every one of these is set differently. I'm very sorry.
in planning, we plan with these neighborhoods. We work on some of these core projects. And down in the lower left screen here, you see that Clyde Marketplace and Duluth Heritage project. Showing this is the Lincoln Park neighborhood. I-35, Interstate 35 is on the bottom of the map here. And we're showing connectivity. We're showing the planning between some larger projects and working towards safe routes to school, Lincoln Park Children's Zone, looking at how do we invest and talk about not just housing, not just economic development, but schools, crime and safety, all the things that interplay with the neighborhood. And my staff, when we first got into this and we said we were jumping off the cliff, they went, oh my God, we're going to talk about all these issues? We got to hear about the trash not being picked up at the park and not having a stop sign over here? Yeah, we do, because that's what's happening in the neighborhood. We've got to make this work, and so we've got to be able to build off of that. We also look at accomplishments. Each year, we work and show the community what has happened. We have maps like this that show where the accomplishments have happened in that neighborhood. A lot of these are the housing accomplishments, but also the people who are participating in economic development or in savings programs, the IDA program that Angie talked about. So lastly for me, talking about why is it working? How does it work? How did we put this model together to make it work in our community for comprehensive change? We started with the residents, engaging them, and when I came to the city, we would go out and talk to neighborhoods and say, what are your top priorities? They'd list them off. We'd come back next year and they'd say, what did you get done of our priority list? Well, it's no longer what did we get done, what did we as a community get done? They take ownership of that list. We develop partnerships, as you've heard mentioned. We attract private developers, like you heard from Alex Giuliani, getting him involved. Looking at those core projects. We want to see the snowball effect. That's in Minnesota, we talk snowball. The rest of you talk about the ripple effect. How does one project grow out and see all these comprehensive changes? And we're also, while we're taking time to stop and celebrate, we also are continuing to plan for the future. What's the next thing that's happening on the horizon? What's the next thing for our partnership to take on? The fun part for me from the city in the Community Development Office, when everybody asks what is community development, it's always a tough thing to describe, but it's really everything that happens in your community. But the best part of watching this collaboration start from being just housing partners to now inviting Fit City, community action, economic development entities, private developers, we have bank partners. The best part of that partnership is bringing everybody together, using their skills strategically, and really attacking a real tough project. We also have a former U.S. Steel site. That's going to be one of our next ones in one of our other neighborhoods. But let me introduce another video, because we like those videos. And this video talks about why At Home in Duluth benefits not just those 5 neighborhoods, but the whole city.
Thousands of people's lives are improving throughout Duluth as communities are working together to reduce crime, unemployment, and home foreclosure.
The health of our neighborhoods is key for the health of the overall city.
Community leaders, volunteers, and more than 35 organizations are celebrating 3 years of job creation and community improvement.
One of the great things about Morgan Park is that it's never boring.
A vast variety of individuals improving communities is Carl Nelson. He transformed Morgan Park by cleaning up the streets and helping raise more than $10,000 to improve the lives of children.
We've been working really hard on
community beautification and community cleanups, and just trying to do the little things.
Nelson noticed while patrolling the community as a citizen officer that most kids who get into trouble are just looking for something to do. So we helped build this park to keep kids off the street and have a more positive connection with their community.
Well, it just brings all the kids something for them to do, and then the whole neighborhood comes together and you can all play in here and stuff.
I'm going next. By helping me and putting me back on my feet, then I'm branching out and trying to help other people in the community.
Shannon Wagner spends her time mentoring kids and volunteering for Community Action Duluth. She spent 8 years without a job until she got help from SOAR Career Solutions.
My life is better now. My kids are happier because I'm happier, and you can see it. They're proud of Mom.
Wagner is one of hundreds of people who, after being helped, decide to help others.
Problem with that video. What you saw in the last scenes was from our 4th annual Connecting the Dots event. And every fall, we bring people together to celebrate the accomplishments of each neighborhood toward their revitalization plan and the collective success of the collaborative. So it's really a Connecting the Dots event to learn from each other, to share, and to celebrate success. We showcase community resources from all of our partners. We have over 400 residents attending, community leaders, public officials at the event, and it's a way to attract new partners. The very first Connecting the Dots event, we only had about 10 organizations working together. Afterwards, we added to that collaborative, now over 26. One of the key things we also do is we recognize 5 neighborhood heroes, someone from each neighborhood who's truly been a leader in the neighborhood and in implementing their plan, and encourage other people to take that leadership role. So this is our Central Hillside hero, Jean McKeever, standing in front of her neighborhood, one of the icons of the school district central administration building. And as we close, we're going to share a few thoughts from a number of our neighborhood leaders and community partners with you. And I hope you see the pride that people have in their neighborhood and their hope for the future in this video.
In the 12 years that I've been here, I've seen a community that is working together more than ever before, a community that understands the value of partnerships, a community that wants to get things done for the broader good rather than smaller factions within the community.
Duluth is an exciting place to live, work, and play, and I think as a resident I'm watching our crime prevention efforts make a difference in our neighborhoods. We're educating people with our partnership with the police department.
We have the school district that's undergone a long-range facilities planning, so there's a lot of emphasis right now on stabilizing and moving into those new schools. You couple that with the different programs such as Duluth at Work and the At Home in Duluth Collaborative Neighborhood Revitalization Plans, there seems to be a lot of momentum.
Working with Duluth LISC, we were able to bring more resources and be much more timely in being able to apply resources to complete projects, to work on a planning level with neighborhoods, to be more nimble. A lot of times government cannot respond quickly enough. But having a Duluth LISC office, we're able to turn some things over to the Duluth LISC office and say, could you convene this group, bring them together? And we'll be there at the table with you. But they've got resources that we can provide that normally the city cannot provide.
Our goal is to ensure that people and places prosper, and that means not only looking at investing in real estate, but ensuring that people have good quality education and have access to jobs and increasing their incomes and assets, and also that we respect and build on the good quality of life in Duluth. So Connecting the Dots was a recognition that we had some people at the table who were working together, but there were many, many other players that we should bring together.
My hopes and dreams for Duluth are focused on increased local businesses, which bring local opportunity to people.
I think from the standpoint of neighborhood housing services, we would really like to see diverse, revitalized, healthy neighborhoods where neighbors interact with each other, they feel safe, people choose to live in the neighborhoods we serve. We really want to make these neighborhoods of choice.
We are going to create a Duluth that our children, when they move far away, and our grandchildren can be very proud to call home, just like I'm really proud to call this home.
You can live in a place where it's cold, and if the people are cold, then it's that much more intense. But up here, it's not that way. And I think a lot of it is due to the work that we're doing, and I think a lot of it is due to the collective effort to see things better.
So we'll take your questions now. Thank you. Got one at the back. There's a mic. Oh, we have a mic up here too. Thanks, Julie.
I'm Julie Seward. I direct state policy work at LISC, and I want to first of all compliment you on I thought what was a wonderful record of what the people in the community were saying. It was a terrific way to do that. My question for you is, as you do more and more diverse things, it means that you begin to think, I think, more and more out of the box. Because you begin to solve issues as they sort of come up. And my question is, as you really envision the future, and that's 5, 10 years down the road, how does that how do you actually go about that process? And that's just not what you'll do tomorrow or next month or next year, but at the end of the day, those really big picture things that are out there.
Yeah? Start with an easy question. Well, right
and
now...
And if you didn't talk about transit, I'd love you to say something about that.
Right, and we are working on transit issues. We're working on a revamping of 6th Avenue, which is a major divider between two of our neighborhoods, Central Hillside and East Hillside. And those neighborhoods are talking about merging because they're doing so much together. I think at this point, we're really looking at the next 3 years, but we're also seeing that there's some very, very big visions that are coming out of this. And as we expand partners and engage more partners, we can do much more. Recently, we have a new chancellor at the University of Minnesota Duluth. We have a new president at Lake Superior College, and Lake Superior College is a big partner with our financial opportunity centers. So I'm not sure I have a real succinct answer other than I think this is a movement. There are things, as our evaluator who's writing the reports for Chris Walker here says, now is that LISC? Is that At Home in Duluth, or is that a spinoff? And I'm kind of at the point where I say there are spinoffs, and we're very happy and excited to see those spinoffs, but we're also trying to make sure we connect those dots. Any thoughts?
I was going to say, as we look out in 3 years, as Pam mentioned, there's going to be some large projects that we're going to be trying to tackle. We've got some school consolidations. How do we reuse these buildings within these neighborhoods? They're large buildings, community focal points. I mentioned a U.S. Steel site that's been a brownfield, a Superfund site since the 1970s, right next to Morgan Park. How do we reuse that? Those aren't little projects. Those are big ones. So we're looking out. Those are probably on the 10-year horizon to accomplish.
Okay, great.
Really enjoyed your presentation. It was very visceral to see how you all respect each other's work and how you work together. I'm sure you don't agree all the time, but it was wonderful to see and to learn about.
Thank you.
I was struck, Pam, by your reference to the unemployment rate at the very beginning of your remarks, and wondered two things. One is in terms of commercial enterprises in their neighborhoods, how those are being supported with loan dollars, grant dollars, technical assistance. Who's doing that? Is someone doing that within the collaborative? And secondly, in terms of jobs available in the region, is there a component to the work that tries to connect neighborhood residents to those jobs?
Can I start? Okay. I'm going to start a little bit on that because we also have subcommittees to our At Home in Duluth Collaborative because we like to meet. And I'm the chair of the Economic Development Committee. And so what we do as an Economic Development Committee is we truly look at all of our resources. Again, it's at connecting, who's got the resources in time, in energy, who can go out there and find out what those businesses needs, who can, like the UMD School of Business may be the ones that can write them a new business plan because they simply haven't had one. Our partners, the Northeast Entrepreneurial Fund, they can come in and say, gosh, you guys really need a business plan, a small capital loan, a marketing plan, and they help them with all of those different things. But we, as the neighborhood coordinators, Cliff and myself, we go out into those neighborhoods and say, what are your needs? What do you, we have a pulse on that issue. If we see a storefront open, we need to mark that right away. Why is that storefront open? What's going on? If you see something, for sale or lease, what happened there. So a lot of that happens, but I will tell you also, as part of the accomplishments, and of course that goes to your bigger question, we're always going to have those industrial sites we're trying to clean up and work on and bring, manufacturing back to our city. We have those retail options and stores that we're trying to attract new business. But I will tell you, since we've revitalized our commercial corridor, since 2006, that commercial corridor revitalization has brought into just my neighborhood, West Duluth, 92 new jobs, which is pretty huge. I mean, because that's like a 10% gain for for that district. And that's higher than the unemployment rate. So we're working, maybe it's a store at a time, maybe it's a business at a time, but gosh, if we can attract somebody who's gonna, do 5 jobs, maybe there's some money at community development through our Duluth Economic Development Authority. So we're always constantly looking for those things. How can we retain you? How can we help you expand? And then now, we have a storefront open, and then of course we have the storefront dollars. How can we make you more attractive so people come in and shop here? So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, I was just going to say one interesting thing is our unemployment rate is actually low. It's lower than the state as a whole. It's our poverty rate that is 25%. So the unemployment is not, that's a problem, but it's the low wage jobs that there are. And really, regionally, the unemployment is actually higher than it is right in Duluth. And so we don't really have strategies to get people out and about to jobs because we don't really have that many suburbs. And then out on the Iron Range, it's even a worse economic situation, really. So
one of our
it's a little different.
One of our lessons, and the reason we created a program in partnership with the city, LISC raised foundation funding. The city is putting in CDBG dollars into a program called Duluth at Work, and that's a longer term, working with people over 3 years to help them into employment, partner with employers, help address barriers to employment, and really a goal of raising their incomes by at least 25%, but also creating a good, solid workforce. That program also has a growing neighborhood businesses component, and we've had a program for artists to help artists expand their art to a business. So it's a whole partnership. On the storefront, it's foundation funding we've raised, along with city TIF dollars and storefront money. Greta had a question.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one.
Be nice.
This is for Pam.
I'm Greta Harris with National LISC, and I have the pleasure of working with many of the Duluth leaders who presented today and did a great job. And what you're seeing in the video is not Hollywood smoke and mirrors. There really is true collaboration, Greg, and it really works, and it's very powerful. So my question to you is, as LISC's smallest urban program, how do you lift up lessons that can be exported to larger cities who are envious of the level of cooperation and collaboration that you all enjoy in Duluth? Sometimes in a much bigger city, it's harder to get to the mayor or to various city department heads or even large, complex nonprofit organizations to get them to come to the table and work together for a common good.
I'm looking at my Wells Fargo partner and my to answer that one. What flashed, and I'll let other panelists answer this, but I think one of the real keys during our quality of life planning process and the decision to expand beyond housing, beyond real estate, was meeting with the city and talking about CDBG, talking about the Community Development Block Grant Program and how they were seeing the same thing we were, that we were creating some nice houses for people to be poor, but we weren't really helping people raise their incomes. We weren't doing as comprehensive of a job. We had issues with crime. We had issues with our schools. And sitting down and talking about, okay, if we partner some foundation funds, some LISC seed money, with community development and do these plans, is there a commitment to implement the plans together? So I think that was really a starting point that I would say could work in other communities.
Yeah, I was going to say that, getting to those community departments, those different city departments, having a plan, and also as you heard Chris and Angie talk about accountability, is being accountable with the city. Everybody wants to hold the government accountable, and that's very needed. But as community organizations, the city needs to know you're going to be there, so they want you to be accountable too. So one of our strong hallmarks of our partnership has been, okay, we can sit down and do this. What can you do? When are we going to get this done by? Who's responsible for it? What's it going to look like? That's probably the biggest takeaway for any community, is to say, okay, if we're going to develop a partnership that's going to go from government to nonprofits to private funders, everybody's got to be on the same page with who's going to do it, when's it going to be done by, what is it we're bringing back to the table, and by when.
I thought of another example is we found with the school district, very controversial. I'm sure many of you have experienced this, where there were too many schools for the size of our student population. They needed to make tough decisions that would affect the neighborhoods. I had one of my local advisory committee members go with me to meet with the superintendent. He happens to be the head of an architectural firm, so he was already very knowledgeable of what was going to occur. And our discussion was that you're going to be making decisions that will affect our neighborhoods. We'd like to coordinate. And the superintendent said, who represents the school district on your local advisory committee? And I said, no one. He said, can I join? And we started planning together, really looking at, how do we make sure there is citizen involvement? How do we reuse the schools? So sometimes it's also kind of a what's there that we can add value to. What by working together, by partnering together, we all benefit from that partnership.
Can I have one last thing? This is going to be a weird little answer to this question, but I had the privilege of going to Chicago to see the Chicago LISC Getting It Done seminar, which is like so cool. And we went back and did a lot of those same kind of concepts. We all went to different seminars and said, wow, now I can work on a tourism corridor. What struck me was, here we are, Duluth, Minnesota, and we go to this one neighborhood, one neighborhood had more people in it than my whole city. But you know what? The principle is the same. So be strategic, find out who can help you, and go after it. If it's block by block or just a neighborhood in a big city, so you could flip it the other way. Mm-hmm. Your neighborhood is as big as my city. What did they do in that city that could apply to my neighborhood?
Chris, good point.
I'm Chris Walker, Director of Research for LISC, which means that it's my job to refer to friendship as social capital. Andy Mooney, our director in Chicago, is very articulate when it comes to talking about comprehensiveness, not just as a collection of programs that happen in one place, as if it were a kind of a bag of marbles, but that there actually is some synergy among these, seemingly disparate kinds of programs in different policy domains. And I wanted to ask you to respond, to reflect on your own experience and consider whether or not there are indeed examples of that kind of synergy. And I love the Wellstone quote, and to paraphrase it, I'll say, Does it all work better when it all works better?
Me? Okay. Absolutely. Well, okay. I'll just tell you a real quick story about my organization. My organization was, you know, those NIMBYisms, and they were like, not in my neighborhood, and oh my God, we're drawing the line in the sand. And I thought one day, you know, and our organization was about to close its doors, you know, because our executive director, who had fought for everything she got, and this isn't on TV anymore, right? Was actually.
He just gave you the 3 minutes.
Did he? Oh, okay. Sorry, Vincent. You know, fought for everything she got. She used to quote this to me. I don't like playing in the sandbox, and no one likes playing with me because I like to throw sand. So, wow, you know, and then I became the executive director. I spent my first 18 months building relationships that were, talk about your bridge over troubled waters. But I have to say, you know, you wake up one day and you go, wow, I'm getting a new house in my neighborhood today. A brand new house. Does it really matter who builds it? It beautified the neighborhood. Right? One house at a time, one business at a time. It's comprehensive change. So is it hard sometimes? Absolutely. But when we all work together, it is a beautiful thing. And we get more done.
And I just want to say, sometimes, Chris, it's also reflecting, we evaluate, we look a lot at, on an annual basis. We had these 3-year plans, where are we? But we also take advantage of opportunities that surface and say, how will this help us implement our plan? So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but there's, yeah.
Actually, it was a different question.
Okay.
That, you know, does the housing have anything to do with the income and asset building? Does it have anything to do with the education? Or is it just a collection of stuff all in one spot?
Oh, I think it absolutely has everything to do with each other. I think one of the reasons we started going comprehensive is we had beautiful, beautiful affordable homes that people didn't want to buy. And those who did want to buy it could not afford to in a neighborhood where they were renting. Some of the renters who were close to being able to buy were concerned about the crime or the perception of crime or the condition of the schools. So they're all interrelated. And what we found as we've been working comprehensively is you can get a lot more done. You can accomplish a lot more faster if you bring in new partners. And so there is synergy, yes.
I think that synergy might be experienced from the individual people in the neighborhoods who see cooperation and partnerships and experience getting assistance from multiple places that seem in a coordinated fashion. So maybe it's harder from our level to see that actual synergy that you're talking about, but I think from the individual person's level who's in all these projects, I think they feel a synergy that we work together to help people move ahead.
Good point, because we've had a lot more neighborhood engagement and involvement as we've gone comprehensive. That's a question.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Tavermina, and I work for a supportive housing organization in New York. And it was great to learn about your collaboration today. I really enjoyed hearing about it. And, you know, reflecting on what Kathy Wild was saying at our luncheon about, because I guess I've been in this business for about 25 or 30 years also, about how do we use the infrastructure to move forward with the challenges we have today. And it's clear that you all are doing that in a really neat way, you know, with the education and crime and various things beyond housing and the whole income and asset buildup. I'm thinking now about healthcare, though, and how healthcare is such a giant, enormous problem for the society and is threatening to, you know, it threatens our assets and our incomes, right? The growing costs, it throws a lot of people over the edge. So I'm wondering if there's been any intersection in Duluth on this question, you know, any creative thoughts around how can we actually reduce healthcare costs, you know, in some interesting way, because, you know, I think in different communities around the country you see that, and it strikes me with the kind of collaborative approach you all have. Maybe you've been thinking about that, so. Yeah. That's my question.
That's one of the struggles of going comprehensive, that sometimes we can't cover it all.
But you know what, I want to answer that in 30
Okay.
seconds, because we
30
just start
seconds.
getting like the cutoff sign. We have a brand new partner, because we're always looking for new partners, and I haven't even shared this with Pam and the gang yet, but you know, we have a brand new partner called Generations Health Share. And right now Duluth is doing a pilot program, and what Pam knows about the organization, but I'm working with them now. What they are is it's a three-legged approach, and it's not an insurance plan, it's a health plan. And what we're doing is the employer pays a third of the cost, the employee pays a third of the cost, and the organization or the grant monies pays a third of the cost. So please go on to, it's called Generations Health Share, Duluth, Minnesota. Google us and look at the website. It's a really cool program. Now I have 300 businesses that I'm going to market this to, so that will help them give their a different health insurance where they can't afford to pay for their employees' health insurance anymore. It gives them a different option. So we are always working on, you know, the engine's always going. So
The other quick partnership is Community Action Duluth, Fit City, and other partners have received a Blue Cross Blue Shield grant to form a Healthy Communities Coalition. So we're involved in that, and that's looking at going broader, includes the healthcare industry. So that's probably one of those spin-offs that we're helping to support as well. Any other questions?
No.
Wrap.
Thank you.